also mention that we have some giveaway bags for after the program. You can pick one of those up if you'd like on your way out the door, so don't forget that. All of this is made possible by the MPL Foundation and a nice generous donation to us so that we can have these fun programs and invite animal wonders. We do have quite a few people here today. Jess is going to go over the rules with you, but I just really want to just stress that this is an hour-long program, and it is expected for kiddos to sit quietly and not move around too much. If that is hard for the kiddo because of age or anything, that's totally fine. Just go ahead and ask them, or just go ahead and take them out in between animals. We just don't want to disturb the animals if at all possible. But Jesse will go over the rules, and I just want to stress that to please follow them as best you can. All right.
Thank you, Brennan. Thank you. And yes, if you do need to leave, Brad mentioned it, but we're going to wait between animals if at all possible. Some of the animals do get distracted or nervous, spooked, if someone all of a sudden gets up and makes a loud noise while they're out. We have a couple sensitive animals to share with you today. So let's go over those rules. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about what Animal Wonders is, because I think we have some people that have never seen a show, which is very exciting. We are a local nonprofit, and we rescue displaced wild and exotic animals. So what that means, displaced, means that they've lost their home somehow. So if we're talking a wild animal, they were living in the wild. That was their home. And the reason that they're not in the wild anymore is because a couple reasons. Maybe they were injured, and maybe they broke a wing or something, and they were sent to a rehabilitation center to get fixed up. And a lot of times they can fix them and send them back to the wild, but sometimes when those animals heal, maybe their wing doesn't heal perfectly and they aren't able to fly. Do you think a bird would be able to survive in the wild if they can't fly? No. So in those cases, the bird wouldn't be able to go back into the wild, and they would need to be someplace safe where a predator couldn't get them, and they might ask us to take them in. Or the animal was orphaned, and they didn't have a parent to teach them how to survive in the wild, and so they were deemed non-releasable. So all the wild animals we have at Animal Wonders cannot go back into the wild for some reason. That's why they're at our facility. We don't want to keep a wild animal that could live in the wild. That's not our purpose. If the animal is an exotic animal, often that animal was one of two things. They were illegally owned. It's against the law to have this animal. You should not have this animal as a pet. Or the people that bought them didn't realize how hard it was to take care of them. And after a while, they realized, wow, this is too much. This is too much. This parrot is too much. This lizard got too big. This hedgehog is too much work. And so they ask us to take these animals in. So we have over 100 animals living at Animal Wonders right now. And we take them in, we give them a safe space, we give them good food, fun toys, and a lot of interaction and training. And once they are comfortable with us, we get to do my favorite thing, which is bring them out and share them with others. So today I brought some amazing animals. They're tucked behind my table right now, nice and calm. But I'm going to bring them out one at a time to share with you so you can learn how awesome they are. Today we're going to be focusing on the theme, tails and tales. So we're going to talk about what makes their tail so special. How do they use it to survive in the wild? And also, we'll share a little tale or story about how they came to Animal Wonders. When the animal's out, I expect 3 rules to be followed. Let's go over those rules. Rule number 1, everyone's pretty much doing it right now. Keep seated, sitting down, especially front row, crisscross applesauce front row, definitely. All right, and I will be coming through, walking through. Please keep your legs tucked in. Crisscross applesauce is the best, so I don't trip on anyone. So that's my rule number 1, stay sitting down. Rule number 2, nice and quiet, but if you have a question, I love questions. How can you show me you have a question? Yeah, just raise your hand up, nice and tall. Now, if you raise your hand up while I'm talking, it might be a while for me to get to calling on you, so you can go ahead and keep your hand down and then put it back up if I ask for questions, all right? I don't want your hands getting too tired. All right, 3rd rule, favorite rule. You ready for it? You get to touch some of these animals. You can't touch all of them, but you do get to touch some of them. When an animal is comfortable being touched, I will either call volunteers up or I will walk around and everyone will get a chance to touch them, or we'll save them to the very end so everyone can have a touch as we go through a line. When you touch these animals, please use 2 touching fingers. Can you hold out those 2 touching fingers? All right, with these 2 fingers, are you going to poke them in the eyes? No. Are you going to poke them in the ears? No. Are you going to dig for boogers? No. Don't dig for boogers. You're going to take your 2 touching fingers and gently pet them on their tail or on their back. If you want to practice touching, you can just gently touch yourself on the arm, just like that. All right, and then you get a nice feel, and the animal stays nice and comfortable. And I am already getting warm, so I'm going to put my hair back. All right, if you do not want to touch an animal, you don't have to touch anything you don't want to. If you don't want to, go ahead and cross your arms across your chest just like this. Can you show me that? And that says, no, thank you, I don't want to touch that animal. Or if I bring an animal out, adults, you can do this too. If they make you nervous, you can just show me right away, and I'll stay nice and far from you. I am still going to walk around, but I'll stay farther away from you. All right, any questions before we start? You ready? Okay, let's do it. You asked for the big one first, so we're going to do the big one first. All right, she is hanging out right back in our little cool space back here. When I bring her out, I need everyone to stay as still as possible, right? And also our camera guy, if you cannot wander around during this time at all, okay? Because she gets nervous with crinkly noises and movement. So hopefully she does all right, even with the people out through the window over there. But she is very sensitive to movement and noise, so totally silent and be as still as possible. Her name is Serafina, and she's very excited. Hi, sweet girl. You want to come say hi to everyone? Oh, yes, you do. Hello, come on out. Woo, very excited. Here we go. All right, here she is. Now, she is super fluffy and super hairy right now. Isn't this ridiculous? Look at her. She's like a little poof ball in the back there. This is Serafina. What is Serafina? A little wave. She's a red fox, and she's doing what all red foxes do during, well, she's a little bit late. They usually do it during the beginning of summer, but she is shedding her fur coat. So just about 3 weeks ago, she was a big, fluffy, her tail was about 3 times as big as this, and then she blew her coat. So that means that she fluffed out, and she, all right, come on and have a seat right there, guys. We have a sensitive animal right here, sensitive to movement, so we're gonna be nice and quiet. Thank you. All right. So she has these big tufts of fur just falling right out, which makes them look really silly. But why do they shed their fur? Who can tell me? Why do they shed their fur? Yeah, it gets really hot in the summer, and so they need to shed their fur. Now, they're not going to keep the same fur all year long. None of the foxes do that live in areas where there is cool and hot seasons. Hi, sweet girl. But these guys do. And in about, I'd say 2 months, she's going to start growing new fur. So she's just going to go a couple months without that fur so that she can grow in a brand new fur coat for the winter. Now, red foxes, they tend to have, she has some bedding stuck to her fur back there. All right, do you notice how nice and pretty she looks on the first half of her body and then how kind of scruffy she looks on the second half? Serafina is a 10-year-old fox. I've been working with her since she was very young. She looks pretty friendly up here. She's actually a wild animal, and so she is very particular about what she accepts and what she doesn't. And she will accept me touching her on the front half of her body, but the back half, So I can brush and groom the front half of her body, but I can't get to that back end there. So she always just looks super scruffy back there in the summer times. You're silly, huh? All right, what do you think she would do if she didn't want me to do something? How would she communicate? Yeah, she would definitely growl. Anything else? Yeah. She would bite me. Yeah, even though she looks really friendly right here, she would growl, and if I didn't listen to her, she would bite. You want to stand up? Good girl. So I always have to respect her and make sure that I'm paying attention to everything that she's saying and ask her to do fair things. I don't want it to be unfair to her. All right, let's talk about them in the wild. So they have this fur. We've talked about that. But let's talk about that tail. Right now, when I scheduled her for this show, I thought she might have a bigger, floofier tail, but she doesn't. Her tail in the wild, usually in the winter, is about this big around. Right now it's like this big, right? About that big. So it gets huge in the winter. Why do you think they have a tail that big and fluffy? Yeah. It's to help them keep warm in the winter. Exactly. So if you were out in like a big blizzard or walking around in the snow all the time, she was going to want to calm, settle down, and maybe sleep at some point. And she's going to have a lot of fur covering most of her body, but she doesn't have thick fur on a couple places. Her face and her legs. So when she gets super cold, she's going to lay down and tuck her legs underneath her big fluffy fur on her body. But what about her face? How does she get that nice and warm? In the back, yeah. She does. She curls her tail right over her face, and then she can cover her nose up so it doesn't freeze, and she can peek over the top. So that is how she's going to stay warm. She also uses her tail to help her balance when she's running and climbing and jumping in the air. So she likes to eat all kinds of food, but it's always pretty small. She likes to eat mice and crickets and frogs and snakes and birds and eggs and mushrooms and berries and seeds. She eats pretty small things. Every once in a while, she might hunt for a rabbit. You want to wave hello again? Yeah? Good girl. But she's mostly going to eat little things. And so she's going to be using her eyes, her ears, and her nose to find things that might be hiding under the ground. And if you notice right now, see how her head is tilting back and forth? She's listening under the table for me making little noises under the table. And if she thinks she found something, she's going to try and jump on it. It wasn't there. Ready? We're going to do it back over here. Get it? Ready? There you go. Good girl. So she has the instinct to pounce on it, and she would do that if there was a little mouse running around in the grass or maybe a little bug crawling around in there. Or what if there was snow everywhere and she needed to dive bomb from the top through the snow and catch that mouse unaware? Because if she digs in the snow, let's see, I'm running out of treats, girlie. If she digs in the snow, that little mouse is just going to run away. So she has to be stealthy. She's going to cock her head back and forth until she knows exactly where it is with those awesome ears. She'll jump up and pounce on it through the snow, and then she'll gobble it up. Now, she also uses her digging skills to help her when there's not a lot of food around. She's going to prepare. In the fall, she is going to try and hunt as many things as she possibly can. Larger things like rabbits or ducks or chickens, if she can find those. And if she finds a bigger food item, she's not going to eat it right away. She's going to save it for later. Where do you put your leftovers?
Underground.
You put your leftovers underground? In the fridge, right? Yeah. She doesn't have a fridge. So she's going to use the earth as her fridge. It's going to stay kind of cool in the ground. So what she'll do is she gets a big duck. She's going to dig a hole. Dig it. Good job. And then she's going to bury it up, and she buries it with her nose. She goes like that and pushes dirt right over the top of it. And then she turns around and does something funny. She pees on it. Now when she pees on it, her pee smells really stinky. It smells like skunk spray. And it's so stinky that if she comes back 3 or 4 months later, now there's a bunch of snow. Sorry, did I surprise you? There's a bunch of snow that's piled on top of that duck that she's hidden. She can smell her pee through the snow, and it'll tell her, oh, there's food. I've saved food here. I'm going to dig it up. And we're going to dig again. Dig. Good job. And she's going to pull that duck out of there, and then she's going to turn around and pee on that empty hole. And she pees on an empty hole because if she comes by a month later and say she's really looking for food, she hasn't been able to find food for a couple days now, and she smells her first pee, what is she going to think is in that hole? If she smells that first pee, what do you think? Careful. She's going to think there's food there. She's going to think that duck is there, and if she digs it up, she's going to waste a bunch of energy if there's nothing in that hole. So she pees on it a second time. so that when she comes by, she smells her first pee and her second pee, and what does that tell her?
That the duck is gone.
The duck is gone, the hole is empty. So she has empty hole pee. Do you have empty hole pee? No, we don't pee on our food. At least I hope you don't. So that is how she is going to signal herself and be able to survive in the wild in a really harsh wilderness. Red foxes live to be about 4 years old in the wild. Seraphina's 10 years old. And she's only 10 years old, got to be 10 years old, is because she's getting medical care from a veterinarian, and she has a safe place. We treat her. If she were to get parasites, we could treat her. If she was injured, we could treat her. She gets free food all day long. In the wild, they have to go after their food, and it's a really competitive situation there. So foxes can live about 12 to 15 years in captivity, but in the wild, it's about 4 is how long they live. All right, do you have any questions about Seraphina? Yes?
I have a comment.
Ooh, let's stick to questions while she's out. She's not going to be out here much longer. Yeah.
How did she come to Animal Wonders?
She came to Animal Wonders from a place called a fur farm. And a fur farm is I think it's a sad place, where animals like foxes and chinchillas and mink and skunks are bred. And then when they get old enough, then they kill them and they turn them into coats or hats or blankets, and people buy their fur. And so when we took Seraphina in, we saved her life so that she could be an ambassador for her species. You're all right, good girl. There we go, sweetheart. And I think her fur looks much better on her than it could ever look on anyone else. Careful, you swallowed that wrong. Except right now it's not looking very elegant. It's looking really scruffy. Any other questions about Seraphina? Yeah.
What are you feeding her right now?
Yeah, she's getting some apple and yam, and then we have meat treats, and then we're trying a new treat. This is it's a dog treat. It's a peanut butter oatmeal treat. She seems to really like it. She's slobbering all over me. What do you think would happen if I tried to give her a treat and then take it away? She would get upset. She would probably bite me. Yeah. And so I have to be very careful. I'm going to go ahead and set these treats down, show her that I'm out of treats. Yeah, I got some leftovers there. Yep. And then ask if she wants to be picked up. Want to come on over here? Yeah? Okay. Good girl. Thank you. We cannot touch Seraphina. She does not like strangers. She's really comfortable with the table we have here in this situation, but she would not be okay if you guys came too close. Notice her ears are back right now. In a dog, that would mean that they're uncomfortable or upset. In foxes, when they put their ears back like that, it's actually a friendly gesture. So that's saying she's like, I'm your friend. I don't want any trouble. We're nice and comfortable. And then she puts her ears up forward. It means she's really curious. All right, Seraphina, you are wonderful. Let's head you back into this cooler area here. Good girl. Thank you. Nicely done. Thank you, everyone, for being so respectful for her. She is a wonderful animal. I do have to mention that, yeah, she looked really cool and pretty calm up here. Do you think a fox would make a good pet? No, good answer. No, they would not. What do they smell like? They pee. And what does their pee smell like? Skunk spray. And what would they do if they got into your cabinets? They'd eat all your food, and then what if they didn't eat all of it? What would they do with the rest of it? They'd bury it somewhere. Where do you think they're going to bury it?
In your yard.
In your couch?
No.
In your bed? Under your carpet? They would dig up anything they could inside your house, and they would put it, and then what'd they do on top of it? Pee all over it. So you would have a house filled with leftovers and pee, and they're just very destructive, and they do great out in the wild, but they do not do well in a human home. It wouldn't be fun for you. The fox would not be happy after a while, and it's also illegal to have a fox as a pet in Montana. So it's not a good idea, and it's illegal as well. So, are you ready for our next animal?
Yeah.
Okay. What were we doing? We were doing creepy crawly next, weren't we?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. Jacob, I'm going to use some hand sanitizer here just to get that. Oh, what did you do to it? Okay. Hand sanitizer malfunctions. It's always fun. All right. Our next animal, I'm going to bring out her whole travel carrier. So this is what she's in when she goes on trips. Her name is Pinecone. She's not a spider. She's staying hidden under her little piece of bark there. She's actually kind of hard to see because she blends in really well. I'm going to go ahead and take this off. There she is. Hi, sweet girl. You want to come on out? Hello, I'm here. Pick you up. All right. Isn't she pretty? Remember, cross your arms if you're nervous. There we go. What is Pinecone? She's a snake, you're right, yeah. She's covered in scales, so she's a reptile. And when I pick her up, she's kind of cool to the touch. It means her body is cooler than mine. It's actually the same temperature as the air in this room. So reptiles, they are the same temperature of whatever environment they're in. So, does anyone know what kind of snake she is? Any guesses? She kind of looks like a dangerous one, doesn't she? What do you think she is?
Garter.
A garter snake? I love how you said garter snake and not garden. There's no such thing as a garden snake. It is garter. Well done. Garter snakes aren't quite this color, though. They usually have a bright stripe down them, or they're more gray than this. Not a garter snake. What do you think?
A bull snake.
You got it. Good job. She is a bull snake, and bull snakes like to pretend that they are rattlesnakes. Has anyone seen a rattlesnake in the wild? Oh, yeah. They're actually pretty elusive. They are very shy snakes, and they don't like to be around humans. So rattlesnakes will often just stay hidden. You've probably walked by, well, if you're out hiking a lot, you've probably walked by a rattlesnake. If you're a good hiker, an avid hiker, I would say. And you probably didn't even know they were there, because rattlesnakes they keep them to themselves. But if you come too close to a rattlesnake, what are they going to do to let you know that you're too close? They're not going to just bite you. No. What are they going to do? They're going to let you know by rattling their tail. They're going to put their tail up in the air, and they have special scales at the tip of their tail. And when they shake it, it goes saying, warning, danger, I am here. Do not step on me. I don't want you any closer to me. Leave me alone. Okay? And if you get too close, then they will hiss. And if you get even closer, then they might bite. And it's really dangerous to be bitten by a rattlesnake because they have venom. They use their venom to help them kill their prey. So they want to eat a mouse, and they aren't a constrictor. So a lot of snakes, when they want to eat something, they'll bite it and then wrap their body around it and squeeze. And they'll squeeze until its heart stops beating, and then they can eat it without it wiggling around. But rattlesnakes, they aren't constrictors. Instead, they like to bite and let go. And then that animal gets the venom and becomes paralyzed, and then they can go eat it. Right? So they're actually really shy and kind of gentle snakes. Now, why would a bull snake try and mimic a rattlesnake? Everything about this snake wants you to think that it is a rattlesnake. From the dots down its back, that looks like a western diamondback, to how it would shake its tail if threatened. And if you get too close, they will flatten their head to look like a triangle and hiss at you really intensely to try and scare you away. Why do they want you to think they're a rattlesnake? Yeah.
Because rattlesnakes are scary.
Rattlesnakes are scary. Why are they so scary?
Because they can kill you.
Yeah. With their venom, they can kill you, right? And most animals know this, right? When that rattlesnake starts shaking its tail, most animals are like, I'm out of here. I don't want to be part of that. Right? So when this bull snake gets startled, they will take this tail, which, see those little stripes on it? Mimics a little bit those scales on a rattlesnake's tail. Now, they don't hold their tail up and shake it because it wouldn't make any noise. They put their tail down in the brush, and when they vibrate it, I can't mimic it very well because they vibrate their tail better and goes bzzz, kind of like that, but it's close enough sounding to that any of us would be like, whoa, it's a rattlesnake. What's that? Now, if a rattlesnake starts rattling near you or you start hearing the buzz of a bull snake tail, what are you going to do? Should you scream and run?
No, you should back away slowly.
Yeah. Actually, stop. Wherever you are, just stop and figure out where that rattlesnake is. Because sometimes your ears can play tricks on you, and it might sound like it's from over there, but it's really from over there. And if you take a quick step this way, what does that rattlesnake think you're doing? Trying to come closer to it and get it, maybe, and it gets really scared. So pause and try and figure out where that rattlesnake is, and then slowly move away from it, right? So you can just give it its space. Rattlesnakes won't come after you. Bull snakes won't either. They will be very dramatic when you come too close to them. They will kind of coil themselves up. They'll put their head over their body and make it in an S shape, and then they will hiss so loudly that it's actually, when a lot of people are scared of snakes, so it's probably not comical to a lot of people, but when we first got Pinecone in, she had not been handled at all. She's doing really good right now, even though she's just tied herself into a knot. I'm gonna move my thumb. Is that all right? Because you're pulling on my thumb really hard. There we go. All right. So Pinecone here, she's doing a really good job. You're okay, it's just my hand. But she had not been handled. We've had her for about 1.5 years now, and we just worked really hard trying to teach her that we're not going to hurt her when we handle her. I don't do a lot of petting or touching her. I don't have volunteers touch her really, just because she's still getting used to it. But when she first came in, every time we would even walk by her space, she would get very defensive. And so what she would do you remember the things that they do? How do they use their tail? What do they do?
They wrestle it against like leaves or grass.
Yes. And so they make like a buzzing, rattling noise. Yeah. What else do they do? What do they do with their head? Do you remember? Yeah. Yeah.
Flatten it into a triangle.
Good job. They flatten it into a triangle. And then they take a really deep breath, and you can actually see them take the breath. Their whole body kind of swells up a little bit. And when they hiss, they push out the air so hard, her lips would actually flap in the wind as she was hissing at me. So she would just get over there and go as loud as she possibly could. And I was just walking by her space. She just saw me. So every time I'd have to chuckle a little bit and be like, it's okay. I'm not going to hurt you. But look how good she's doing now. She hasn't hissed. She hasn't rattled. She's nice and comfortable. She's doing something with her tongue, though.
Maybe she's trying to sniff you.
She's sniff me? Do you think she's trying to sniff me?
Sniffing us.
I think she's sniffing you. I think she's smelling all of you. Do you mind if I walk through? All right. She's sniffing all of you. Long tongue flicks. She's making sure none of you are mice that she might want to eat, or scary things that might want to eat her, like a raccoon or a fox, which is why I use hand sanitizer after I handle the fox. Isn't she cute? I think she's cute too. It kind of looks like she's grumpy all the time because she's got these big brow ridges. I like bull snakes. They're really neat. Now, if you have a bull snake in your yard, it's actually a really good, wonderful thing, because if you have a bull snake in your territory, they basically are claiming that territory, and they're eating all of the little mice that might be in your yard. And if a rattlesnake comes by, they will realize that there's already a snake eating all the food in this area, and they won't settle in. They will move on and find a different territory to claim as their own. So there is a myth going around that bull snakes will chase off rattlesnakes, and they don't really do that. It's more like they've claimed the territory and the rattlesnake doesn't really want to compete with it. Is that cool? Want a closer look, buddy? Isn't that neat? So if you do have a bull snake in your yard, leave them there. Leave them there because they're going to keep those rattlesnakes away. You want me to come back closer to you guys? Yeah. And you're welcome to move forward now if you want to. These guys aren't, this guy isn't too nervous about movement. Do you want closer to the camera? I don't know, you see that? Yeah. All right. Pinecone, her little tail, she came to us because somebody had her as a pet, and they had gotten her from someone who did something they shouldn't have. They actually took her from the wild, and it was in Northern California, and they kept her for a couple years, and then they got bored, and gave her to somebody else. And that person ended up having to move homes and couldn't take care of her anymore, so they brought her to us. She's actually quite small. They say she's about 4 years old, so she was about 3-ish when we got her. And she's kind of small for that size. Bull snakes are one of the largest snakes in North America. They can get up to 7 feet long, which is incredible. Right now she's about 3.5 feet long, so she's just a little mini right now. But we're working hard on getting her bigger, feeding her lots of good food. All right, sweet girl, you want to head back in here? All right. Any questions as she heads back in? Yes.
What is her favorite food?
What is her what?
Favorite food.
What's her favorite food? She really likes small rats. We've tried offering her mice as well, but she actually prefers the little rats instead. You're being really awkward right now. You're like holding on to yourself and squeezing yourself. She's a dramatic snake. I like her. Any other questions as she slowly goes back in here? Okay. We're just rewrapping. Okay. But do you think I should like tap her tail to hurry her up? No. That would make her a little bit more nervous. She's going to settle in. I don't want to touch her tail because if I do that, then she's going to be like, I don't trust going into this space because every time I go into this space, something scary happens. So I want her to kind of settle in on her own. So I'm going to move this where her body is. So there we go, slip her tail in. There you go. Yeah, do you think snakes understand clear glass or plastic? No, they don't. They're like, I can see through here. I should be able to get through there. All right. Are you ready for an exotic animal?
Yeah.
All right, we'll see how she does. So she might come in and she might go to the floor. That happens sometimes. She might stay on my table. It's kind of a little unpredictable what she does, but we kind of like to just roll with it. If she comes close to you, do not try and reach out and touch her. All right? So I'm going to get some of her favorite food, which is blueberries. And we're going to bring her on up, bring her on out, and see what she would like to do. Hi, pretty girl. Hello. Here you go. There you go. Good girl. Did you hear her make little noises? She's excited noises. This is Zima. You hear her purring? You're right, Zima is a toucan. Hi, sweet. So, Zima, nice, thank you. Oh, here you go, you can have another one. All right, Zima, I'll clean that up in a second. Ugh. Zima is a toucan. She's a keel-billed toucan. These guys come from Belize, which is down in South America. And careful, don't fall. And Zima, we have a theme of tails and tails today. And what is Zima missing?
A tail.
She's missing her tail. Zima came, watch her eat. Oh, did you see that? Isn't that cool? Careful. You're all right. Come here, girly girl. Good job, sitting there. Nice job. That was well done. She falls off my hand a lot, and I'll talk to you about why in a second. All right. Zima came to us when she was quite young, and the people that had her wanted her to be their pet. They bought her to be their pet. And very quickly they realized we are in over our heads. We didn't know what we were doing. And so they asked us to take her in. And we learned that right immediately, there was something wrong with her. She was very sick. She had a respiratory infection and a fungal infection. She had, careful. Here, you want to jump on there? There you go. Blueberries everywhere. Here you go. And she had a really bad broken leg. We wanted to fix the leg right away. Unfortunately, we couldn't fix the leg because she was so sick, she couldn't go into surgery. Here, do you want to just snuggle for a second? Just be up here with me? Yeah? Okay. So yeah, that makes you more comfortable. So we got her lots of medication and we got her healed up from her other illnesses, and then we were able to tackle her leg, and she went through 3 different surgeries to fix her broken leg. Unfortunately, during those surgeries, and because it took so long and the damage in there, she can't use her leg the way that she needs to be able to use it. So when she's on the ground, I'll set her down here for a second. You want to hop around a little bit? She hops around just fine, but she cannot feel her front toes. And so she's not in any pain. And if back row, if you want to go up on your knees so you can see her a little bit better, you can. So she's not in any pain, but she can't grip with her feet like she needs to be able to hop from perch to perch to perch like she would in the wild. So she hops around, but she kind of drags her left leg a bit. And she does like to be active. Who likes to run and play? Yeah, it's fun. All right, how can you not want to run around and play? She does too. She loves to hop around and play. Oh, nice one. And when she does that, sometimes she gets a little uncoordinated. Ready? You want to catch this? No? Big bird. Ready? Floof it off. Ready? 1, 2, 3, I'm going to throw it. Oh, good catch. And when she does that, she'll try and jump from perch to perch, and then sometimes she'll slip and fall. And what do you think she falls on when she slips and falls backwards? What do you think? Not her leg. What do you think? Her tail. Her tail actually grows out this long. Big black tail feathers. And when that happens, when she lands on it, want to go get it? She breaks those tail feathers, and why do you keep throwing your blueberries around? You're being really silly. So she breaks her tail feathers off, and it doesn't hurt her. The tail feathers breaking doesn't hurt, but what it does is it makes it so that she can't fly properly. She is fully flighted. Her wing feathers are there, and she can fly a little bit, but she needs her tail to help keep her up in the air and to help her navigate accurately. So because she doesn't have those tail feathers, she'll fly around and flutter around a little bit. Oh, good shake. But she's not very good at doing like the full maneuvering around. So even though she struggles a little bit, she is still wonderful, and we know that she's not in pain. In the wild, these guys live in the understory of the rainforest. So they live in the same rainforest as parrots, but instead of living up high, they hop around on the big branches underneath, which is why they end up being so dark. She has rejected this berry for some reason. I don't know. They have a very sensitive beak, and thank you. You want to see that? Do you think you should have a toucan as a pet? Look at that poop. She's gonna stain me. No, toucans love to eat berries, and then when they go to the bathroom, they poop out jelly. So yeah. All right, so they're gonna hop around in the understory from branch to branch. They'll fly small little flights. And what do you think toucans like to eat? They do like to eat berries, and they also like to eat other soft things. What do you think? They do like to eat grapes and all kinds of berries, but the other soft things they like to eat are bugs. And they'll also eat, do you know? They'll eat small rodents that are in little nests, and they'll also hunt other birds. So toucans are kind of like a mixture between a parrot and a hawk. Right? So they're colorful raptors, kind of. So when I was young, I was taught that parrots were really gentle and they only ate fruit, but that's not the truth. They are great hunters too, and they use their beak to help them hunt. They will reach into little nest cavities and they'll pull out all the little things that they want to eat, other birds and rodents, and then they use the sides of their beak to help kill that animal. It's not very pleasant. It's kind of the same as, here she goes. Hi, pretty girl. You bumped your nose, your beak a little bit. I'll hold on to you. Yeah. You got it. There you go. So just like your dog would play with a toy, if you've ever had a dog that grabbed a toy and then shook it as hard as they could in play, they would do that to their prey as well so that they could eat it. And so they have that amazing beak to help them eat the food they need to, and also to protect themselves. So something scary came along, they would back up and they'd put their beak up in the air and they would bite anything that came close to them. So that beak is pretty incredible. All right, any questions about Zima the toucan? Hi, beautiful. Yeah.
Do they just swallow stuff whole, or?
Yeah, good question. They have no teeth. If you look really closely when she swallows, you might be able to see her tongue stick up just a little bit. And everything they eat is kind of whole. So even like a little chickadee or something that size, they could actually try and eat it whole. They could try and swallow that thing whole. Yeah. So sometimes they'll like, kind of cut it with the sides of their beak and cut little pieces off of it, but that's usually with fruit. They'll do that with like a big papaya or something like that. Yeah, so it's pretty impressive. Yeah.
Can she fly?
So she can fly a little bit, but you saw she lands. She can't stay up in the air as well as she should be able to because she's missing that big long tail back there. Yeah.
How old is she?
Zima's about 2.5 years old. She's almost 3. You doing your little toucan dance? Yeah. She's telling me she's had enough, so I'm gonna go ahead and put her back. When she starts doing her dance, that's her, how the saying goes, she's feeling her oats, I guess. She's just like, yeah. And when she feels really good and kind of, she starts becoming territorial. And do you think I want to be holding her when she's feeling territorial? No, I've got a skin that's quite sensitive, and so if she starts getting upset about something, I don't want my bare skin right next to her. All right. Any last questions before we move on to our next animal? Yes.
She kind of looks like a penguin.
She looks like a penguin, really?
Yeah. Well, she has like blackness and does have like small feathers that kind of look like.
She has that black body like a penguin? Yeah, interesting. Yeah, and penguins kind of do have those long beaks, don't they? You know, I had a friend that was working at a zoo, and the San Diego Zoo, and they had emperor penguins there. And I've seen the emperor. Has anyone been to a zoo with penguins? Okay, never been to a zoo. Yeah, it's hard to get to a zoo because we don't have very many close to us. But if you do go to a zoo, you can see the penguins through the glass, right? So my friend worked at this zoo, and she let me have a behind-the-scenes tour. So I got to come like right up next to an emperor penguin, and they are huge. They're like this tall, and their beak is like this long, and it's like super pointy so they can grab fish. And it was very intimidating. I didn't think I'd be intimidated by a penguin, but it was intimidating. All right, our next animal, we're gonna bring him out. His name is Argos. Hi, buddy. Come here. Show off your awesome self. All right. This is Argos, and I'm going to lay this here in case he decides to go to the bathroom again because it feels like it's a theme today. All right, look at him. Isn't he awesome? What is Argos?
A lizard.
He's a lizard. You're right. He's covered in scales. He's got some legs. Yeah, lizards are really neat. What kind of lizard is he? What do you think? It's a hard one. Comes from Africa, from Mali, Africa. What do you think? A what? A Gila monster? Good guess. Those guys come from South America. Yeah, what do you think?
An iguana.
An iguana, that's a good guess too, but those guys come from South America too, and they're green. So this guy, oh, you got another guess? Komodo dragon, that's an awesome guess too, but those guys are huge, right?
They're born like
Could be a baby. You're right. You're absolutely right. Could be a baby. But we're going to look at this tail. This tail is going to tell all. Iguanas' tails are long and skinny, right? Who do we have? The Gila monsters over there. Those guys have chunkier tails. Not quite like this. Not as bumpy like that. And then Komodo dragons, they have got longer tails, right? Last guess right here. A horny devil? So those guys... So that's, they live in, I want to say South America too. Maybe Australia? I'm not sure on that one. But you're right, they do have those big bumps there. This guy is a Euromastix. Can you say that word? Euromastix. That's its scientific name, and humans haven't come up with a better, easier name to say. So he's a Euromastix. He's called a Mali Euromastix, and he is quite dark because he lives in Mali, Africa, and he lives in one of the hottest places there. He likes to eat only plants. They don't eat bugs or rodents like other lizards do. So he's an herbivore. And the plants that he can find in the desert where he lives is really like fibrous and woody. So he would eat like some, like a scrub brush, the leaves from that, or some hard cactus, not really juicy stuff, like harder cactus, or some grasses. Mostly it's gonna be a lot of like drier leaves. It would not taste good to us, but he has a cool mouth that helps him bite through it. He has like a sharp beak that cuts through things. So do you think you should put your finger right next to his mouth? No, yeah, chop right through your finger, right? So he'd be really good at eating like watermelon. He could just take bites right out of the rind, cuts right through it. Now, if something scary comes along while he's trying to eat, the first thing he's going to do is he's gonna try and look big and scary. So, kind of like a cat. Have you ever seen a scared cat in like a cartoon or anything? They turn sideways, they arch their back and make their fur really big, and they go like this, right? They try and make themselves look super scary and big instead of coming on like this. They're like, I'm huge. So that's what, and they puff up their fur. So he doesn't have any fur, and he doesn't have big legs. But what he's going to do is he's going to take his body, that's normal like this, and he's going to turn it sideways, and then he's going to puff it up as wide as it goes. Right now, he's starting to calm down a little bit. If you look at his belly. He's got a cute little belly, but it is full of air. That's air that's in his belly. So right now he's on his defensive because a big giant is holding him and he's out of his natural environment, his home. And so he's defensive. So he's poofed himself up a little bit. So when he does that, he's like, I'm huge and big and I'm swelling myself up so nothing tries to eat me. So if a hawk came down and tried to eat him, he'd be like, nope, I'm too big for you to eat. Don't eat me. And the hawk would be like, I'm going to try and eat you anyway. So then what he's going to do is if that hawk comes closer, he's going to take his tail and he's going to start whacking it back and forth as hard as he can. Back and forth, back and forth, back. And if you get hit by this tail, it's like getting hit by a club. Like it hurts. It's spiny and very strong. And he's not just sitting there wiggling his tail like this. When he starts whacking his tail back and forth, his whole body starts kind of flipping around. So he's on the floor going like this, and the hawk tries to get closer and gets hit in the face by the tail, and it goes, well, I don't want to mess with that. So it jumps back, and he dashes away. And he tries to hide under a little crevice of rocks. And when he goes under the crevice of rocks, he might not fit all the way. Maybe his tail is a little bit close to the edge, and that hawk's going to come and try and get him. And if they grab a hold of that tail, the tail's really strong, so it's not going to hurt his tail. But what if they grab a hold of it and try and pull him out? That'd be bad. His tail doesn't come off. So what he does is when he goes into that rock crevice, he poofs his belly out again. And he wedges himself into that rock crevice. So even if they try and pull him out, he's stuck in there. You can't get me out. And then he's going to take his tail and, once again, whack it back and forth. So hopefully he whacks that hawk in the face and it leaves him alone. All right, so that is his tail. His tail is what's going to save his life. It is pretty incredible. He cannot lose that tail. Some lizards can, but he doesn't store anything in his tail, and he does not lose his tail. His tail is stuck to him, and he just uses it to hit things. All right, so, I was telling you, he's dark and he lives in a hot place. So when he's eating all that woody food, it goes into his stomach, and it's really hard for him to digest. So he has to get really, really hot. Guess how hot he has to get in order to digest his food? Like, we've been in on a hot day, and it's like 100 degrees. It's a really hot day. How hot do you think he has to get?
Over 100.
Oh, I couldn't hear. What?
150 degrees.
Oh, super close. He has to get to be about 140 degrees. So he goes into the sun, and he's really nice and dark black, right? And so then he's once again going to puff his belly out and try and get as much surface area in that sun so that he can absorb all that heat. All right, I'd like 4 volunteers to come on up, please. All right, in the back. Yep, come on up. And come on up. Good job. And come on up. Good job. And in the back, come on up. Yes. All right, go ahead, sit down. All right, he doesn't love his tail being touched over and over and over again, so we're just going to take 4 volunteers, and you can touch his tail nice and gentle, okay? So go ahead and touch his tail. Whoa, wasn't that cool? Go ahead and get some hand sanitizer from Jacob here. Oh, there it is, and go have a seat. Go ahead and touch his tail.
Spiky.
It is, isn't it? Go. Oh, he's going to the bathroom. All right, come on up, and last one on his tail here. It's cool, isn't it? Hand sanitizer, there you go. All right. Any questions about Argos, the Euromastix? Isn't he neat? Look at his mouth. See how he opens it? Yeah, he opens it. Sometimes he'll do it when I put my hand over his head like that. Neat, huh? Yes, question? You saw how he doesn't love being held. He tolerates it pretty well. But when we got him, he would, in the beginning, he would try and hit me with his tail if I got close. And so we've been working with him for quite a few years. We got him as an adult. A teacher had him in their classroom as a pet, and she didn't even know what kind of lizard he was. I don't know how she got him, but she called us up, and actually another teacher called us up and asked if we could come and save this guy. And these guys are really hard to take care of. They have to get 140 degrees. So yeah, in the very beginning, he was not very happy with us, but we've been working with him. He tolerates it really well now. Yeah. Do we have any other questions over here? Yeah.
How do you spell the name? I've never heard the type of name.
It's a hard Euro, so U-R-O, Mass, M-A-S-T-Y-X. Mastix. Euromastix. The Mali Euromastix. There's a couple different species of these guys. All right. Hi, buddy. So the lesson we can learn from Argos here is you should always, so he wasn't being properly cared for by that teacher. He didn't have the right kind of heat or the right kind of food. And so it's really important, if you love animals and you think you want to have one as a pet, that you do tons of research so you know what animal you have and you know how to give them a good life. And he was not getting that at the time, so I'm glad that they called us up and asked us to take him in. All right, let me check my time. All right, my next animal is very cool, and everyone gets to touch this animal. All right. Her name is Gaia, and she got the name Gaia because she kind of looks like Mother Earth. She lives deep down, or right against the earth. She digs in the earth. So Gaia looks like a giant roly-poly, but she is not. She is a 3-banded armadillo. Now, she's in her defensive mode, and that's because she was sleeping in a cozy little blanket back there, and I very rudely woke her up. So her first instinct, she got a little fuzzy on her foot there. There we go. Just don't touch my foot. So her instinct is to, something's trying to eat me. Something's bugging me, and I'm not quite awake yet, so I'm just going to go into my defensive mode. So I'm just going to set her on my hand, and we'll see if she wants to open up as I talk about her a little bit. So let's talk about this amazing armor that she has on her. You can see her little cute little tail right there. So she is an armadillo, and there's about 20 species of armadillos. Quiet, you two in the front, please. There's about 20 species of armadillos. She's a 3-banded. You can see she has those 3 thick bands right in the middle there. There's also 6-banded armadillos, twice as big. There's 9-banded armadillos that a lot of people that live in the United States are familiar with 9-banded armadillos because they live in the southern United States. There's also screaming hairy armadillos and pink fairy armadillos, which aren't very cute, sad to say. But she is the only species, there's 2 3-banded armadillo species, and they're the only species that can roll completely into a ball to protect themselves. They all have some kind of armor. And this armor, go ahead and reach behind you and feel your back. Feel the bumpy thing on your back?
That's fine.
That's your spine. Can you feel the hard bones inside you? attached to your spine. Those are your ribs, right? So they also have a spine and ribs, but instead of having individual bones, their bones have all fused together into one big bony plate, or a couple bony plates here. And so this armor that you're seeing is actually her bone, her ribs and her backbone, covered by something that you have on your body too that protects you. She has skin in between here, super flexible, like our skin is super flexible, so we can bend it over our elbow bone, right? Or our knuckle bones. We're very flexible because of our skin. But this is a very hard substance. Do you have anything hard on your body, on the outside of your body? What do you think? Fingernails! Good job! Our toenails and our fingernails and our hair is actually made of the same stuff. It's called keratin, right? So she is also covered in keratin. It's like being covered in all fingernails. Okay? So bone and fingernails put together make her armor super tough. So anything that tries to eat her, she'll roll into a ball, and they'll try and eat her, and their teeth can't break through it. Okay? So she's going to stay protected that way. So she also wants to be a little bit flexible, so she does have those 4 sections of skin there that bend and stretch as she moves. Now, maybe she wants to come out. You can see her little nose moving. Her little feetsies and her little nose are still sitting there. And what do you think do you think I should try and like pry her open? That would be really disrespectful to her. And also, she's actually stronger than I am, right? So if I tried to do that, she would just go, nope, and she would close even harder, and there'd be no way that she'd want to come out. So she has really strong muscles to be able to close like that. And the reason she needs that is so that nothing messes with her. If something were to mess with her, say she was like running around and a desert fox found her. The desert fox would be like, ooh, you smell good, and she's going to try and eat her, and she's going to roll into a ball. Now, what's that fox going to do? If she rolls into a ball, do you think the fox will be like, I give up, and walk away?
No.
What's the fox going to do? Yes. So that fox is going to be like, I think I can find a way to open you up. You're like a little puzzle, right? So they're going to roll her around. Do you think she likes to be rolled around? No, she's going to get super annoyed. And so she'll tighten even tighter, and they're going to keep messing with her, maybe try and pry her open at her belly. So she's going to play a trick on that fox. She's going to open her shell just a little bit. Just maybe about this much. When she does that, the fox, what do you think is going to do?
Stick his
Nose or
tongue.
maybe, or paw, right? And be like, ha, I found it. Stick their little paw in there and try and wedge her open. What's she going to do? She's going to close right on their poor little toe. Clamp down, and the fox goes, and now it's got an armadillo stuck to its paw. So what she's going to do, while they're stuck in her, she has really big claws. And if she opens up, I can show you her claws. Her claws are really long, and she'll start scratching their toe while it's stuck in there. And the fox goes, I made a mistake, let go! And eventually they'll get the armadillo off. And do you think that fox is going to mess with armadillos after that? No, they're going to be like, nope, it's a trap. Don't do it. Yeah.
Try sitting her down and see if she opens up.
That used to work when she was younger, but now I just do that, and she goes, ooh, I'm in a strange place. I don't want to do that. Yeah. So I can feel her loosening up on my hand as I just gently am here. Her body's starting to relax a little bit, and it just takes her a little bit of time. She's only been out for like 5 minutes, so. Takes me longer than 5 minutes to wake up in the morning sometimes. Yeah. She is about 6 years old.
How long can armadillos live?
Oh, good question. They can live up to 30 years. Right? This species can. Right? So that's really long. And we got her when she was about a year-ish old. She wasn't a baby and she wasn't an adult yet. And so we are guessing that she's about a year old. They mature at about 2 years old. So she was a little bit smaller than this. But she grew pretty fast and strong. And as she grew, she got less and less tolerant of humans. When she first came in, she was still kind of babyish, and she would let me touch her belly a little bit. Now she doesn't do that because she's a wild animal. It's all right. But guess how I figured out how it feels to be scratched? I was actually at a show, and she had a little fuzzy on her belly fur. And so I reached in to get the little fuzzy off, and what do you think she did to my finger? She clamped down on my finger and then started scratching me. And after about a minute of being like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble, I just relaxed and then I started timing it. Guess how long I was stuck in there? 7 minutes. Didn't feel good. It did not feel good. Here you go, sweet. Oh, there she goes. Hello. Oh, sleepy girl. I know. All right, I'll answer some questions. Yeah, she is. What's her tale? What's her story? She came to Animal Wonders because someone down in Southern California illegally, it was against the law, purchased her and had her kind of as a mascot for their restaurant. So they would say, come and see the armadillo and come to our place and hang out and buy food and drinks. And after a while, they didn't want her anymore. And do you want to head on down? Here. Now that you're open, there you go. I have some little treats for you, too, because I very rudely woke you up. Here, we got some waxworms and some mealworms. Here you go. So when is that good? That was a good one. Look at those big claws. You see that? And we'll give another little waxworm there. So, here you go. You want a grape? This was rejected from Zima there. So they didn't want her anymore, and she was actually abandoned and picked up by a rescue down in Southern California, and that rescue was full of animals, which happens a lot. And they called us up and asked if we could take them in. There you go. Do you forgive me for waking you up in the middle of the day? Do you want that blueberry? You can have it if you want to. Now, she's going to mess around with that blueberry a little bit because armadillos like this, three-banded armadillos, they don't have any front teeth. No front teeth at all. So what they like to do, so she just shredded it open a little bit and said, nope, I don't like it. They will smell their food, and they can smell about 3 miles away. And then they will run toward whatever food they want to eat, and they will. Usually it's a termite mound, and then they will use their huge claws to dig up the termites in that termite mound. And then, because they don't have any front teeth, they can't bite those termites, they'll actually use their tongue and they'll lick up and down the little tunnels in that huge termite mound, and they will eat their food that way. You want to run around? I know you do. All right, everyone, we are out of time. So what I'd like to do, is have everyone give her a little touch. And if you would like, you can also give her a smell, because when do you ever get a chance to smell an armadillo? She has a very unique smell. Just when you're smelling, make sure you're not touching your nose to her. Just smell it. And when she's doing like that, she might jump back a little bit like you see her. So just go to the side and get a nice smell that way. And if you are comfortable, you can just pull your mask down, take a smell, and then put your mask back up. She wants to get down and run around. She is cute, isn't she? Yeah. Not super cuddly, though. All right, so go ahead and stand up. And we're going to start the line right here, and they're going to go this way. So if you guys wanted to get in line, give a touch, and then head on out the door by Braden over there. And before you leave, I wanted to say thank you so much for joining us. It was a lot of fun sharing all these amazing animals with you. If you would like to continue going on adventures with us, we have a YouTube channel, a website. You can go to our website, it's animalwonders.org, and you can learn a bunch of cool facts about the animals that we have. If you're allowed to, you have to ask your parents to go onto YouTube, but we do have a channel called Animal Wonders Montana. We have over 400 videos on there, and you can watch and learn about animals for free anywhere you go, as long as you have internet. All right, thank you so much. Come on and touch and maybe smell an armadillo. Go ahead, buddy. Get a little smell. Awesome. I'll answer questions now, too. And go ahead and get a hand sanitizer when you're done. All right, so head on out that way, buddy. When you're done touching, we're going to move that direction.
By the way, I have a comment.
Yep, go ahead and stand over here. Get some hand sanitizer.
At work, he works at FedEx. He saw a bunch of baby foxes.
Oh, cool.
Sent me a picture. He sees corgis and stuff. It's great.
That's cool.
Thank you.
It's a strange smell, huh? It Interesting, huh? Yeah. I think she is too. Look at her awesome ears. I love how big her ears are. Here you go, buddy.
Grandpa, let me talk.